Hello everybody, my name is Zayerzadeh from Road Safety Pioneers NGO. In this presentation I want to talk about the road safety advertising and different types and effective methods for advertising in road safety, and mainly the difference between advertising in this area and different types of advertising. So at the end we will have some recommendation for having effective advertising on road safety. So let me start with the first slide, that is the definition of advertising. Advertising is a form of marketing communication that employs a message to promote or sell a product, service, or idea. In this case, or in this field in road safety, mainly we want to sell our idea or ask others to accept a safe behavior, and after accepting that, start doing that. As an example, it's a poster you can just created from one of my presentation on this field on road safety advertisement. You can see different items. You can look at some colors. You can see green, yellow, blue, and also red, that mainly they are being used to attract people and grab their attention to see what has been that is telling them, and also some key sentences and words, something like save the date or don't miss out, that it wants to encourage people to follow the messages and the call now you can see here. And it's type of advertisement you may see as a poster, and also sometimes an irrelevant thing like register today and win a free I don't know, iPhone X, and all the things here are designed to grab the audience attention, that sample one. And let's start with the history. Yeah, advertising is not something new, it is centuries old, and advertisers spend in excess of $400 billion each year. In one of these cases from the 1920s, you can see they were using this type of advertising, keep death off the road. However, this campaign was expected to be very effective, but such a fear-based campaigns later on found to be more or less not effective in long term, maybe just a short-term effect. There are different types of advertising. You may see the names here: interactive, public service, institutional, different types, and we must be aware when we are working on that. Also, they have different functions. They provide some of them provide product and brand information, some of them provide incentives to take action, and some of them want to provide reminders and reinforcement, and there are main advertising functions. For road safety, mainly we are thinking about the last two, want to provide incentive to take action, to take safe behavior action, and also we provide reminders. For example, when we remind them of wearing their seatbelt or wearing a helmet, we remind them if they have been told before, we remind them, and also may provide some incentive in case of, for example, information about the consequences of not wearing a helmet or the seatbelt, of course, and other things when they use alcohol and drinking driving, what will happen. So there are main functions of advertising. Also, there are different roles for advertising: marketing, communication, economic, and societal role, that when you're using advertisements in road safety, you should be aware of the different roles that may have. And we have 5 M's of advertising. The first is the mission. What's your mission when you want to advertise? What do you want? Next M is money. How much are you able to spend on that? And the next M's that you can see that they are in parallel fields are the message and the media. Of course, they are dependent to each other. Some messages are only conveyable through a special type of media, and also some media has special functionality, and they are not able to convey some type of messages. So we have put them side to side, so we should think about what kind of message and what kind of media you may use or you want to use. Of course, it somehow depends to the previous M, the money. How much money you have? Is it enough to select the media, or which is it necessary to have exact message and then select your media? So these are 2 important M's of advertising. The last one is the measurement. Okay, now I have the money, I have the message, I have selected the media, and I have to measure it. I have to measure it. It will be effective regarding your target group and how many people you want to reach out. To develop an advertising plan, you may look at this circle, this 9-stage circle. The first would be starting with setting objective, as defined before in the previous slide. You have to know your objectives and then go to assigning the responsibility, and then establishing a budget, developing teams, then selecting media or different type of media, creating ads, timing your ads, and considering cooperative efforts. And the last stage would be the evaluation, and it has been successful, or we may have a failure, and of course the feedback to start the next round. We can start to identify your program's objectives. You may start with some question: who you want to reach, who is your audience? Only young males, drunk drivers, or cycle riders, or who is your audience? Then you should answer what the message you want to convey, or the thing that you want to ask him is about the knowledge. For example, graduated licensing skill laws. It's about attitude toward speeding, or it's about their behavior, talking on the phone and driving. So you should exactly define what do you want to tell them, who and what. The next one would be when. For example, driving at night on the way to a party, or is important. When do you want to convey the message, or the time, is it important or not in your advertising? And the last question before starting anything else would be where you want to advertise on local streets, or where are the main problem exist. We have different type of media to select. One of them would be the internet, television, radio, print media, and of course newspaper, billboard, magazine, and there are different type of advertising media. Let's look at some of them, and some advantages and disadvantages they have. For example, for print advertising, the main example would be the newspapers, magazines, and directories. For example, for newspapers, they have high readership, and they're flexible, and maybe they have low rate when you think about the cost and budgeting. But of course, you must be aware that they are cluttered with different type of ads, and the reader may miss your message among lots of ads have been placed. So, and the other competitors for example, you're telling them they don't drink and drive, and the next to your ad may be some ads about the alcohol drink, and it may reduce the effect on the reader. You are not deciding about the other ads that have been placed next to yours in the newspaper. So also the production quality is poor. It's another disadvantage, and less visually exciting than magazines. Of course, it's about the magazine. We can see that of course the higher production quality than newspapers and a wider scope. For example, you may have magazine exclusively talking about nature, talking about different things that they are not like newspapers, that you may have different ads from on relevant things. And also the longer life. Newspaper, of course, it's just for 1 or 2 days at most, but magazines may have longer life in your reader's hand. And of course, long lead time and high production cost could be among the disadvantages of the magazine. About the radio, it would be another type of media. They have more or less low costs and flexible, and due to high reach of people, effective, but of course the lack of transmitting visual images that are very effective to remain in your audience minds. And also they may confuse your ad with other ads because of the nature of the radio ads, and also several different stations exist that they may be difficult to select the exact station that you are using for advertising. And to be effective on radio, you must have only one idea to keep his or her interest, not different ideas in one ad. And also you need a catchy slogan. The major advantage of using the television as a media is the highest reach it has, and however it has the higher cost among other type of media, and also for production you have to spend a lot of money, but sometimes it's the best media you can use to convey your message. Also, one of the disadvantages is that it's almost impossible to accurately target your audience if you are working on, for example, youth. You're not sure that at the time that your ad is being watched by the audience, are the youth that they are your target group, they are watching television or that channel or not. Also, there's no guarantee that the message will reach your audience, as I talked about that. In local station, network, and super station cable, there are different channels, TV channels, that we are not sure if they're watching our ad or not, and we should be aware of determine the audience demographics and develop ads that will be watched, of course, and be very sensitive about the our production and the visual abilities to convey the message and the tone we are using. And outdoor advertising is another type. We may use signs, we may use billboards, and each of them, they have their advantages and disadvantages, so we should be very picky when, for example, for billboards, it's highly recommended that it should not be more than 5 or 6 words, because when drivers are passing with higher speed, I don't know, 70, 80, 100 kilometers per hour, they can just look at the message for 1-2 seconds, and they should do your job in just 2-3 seconds you may have at most. For different type of media, there is a chart you can see. There are direct mail, print media, as we talked about that, outdoor, more like posters, hoarding, sky advertising, and broadcasting media, radio, television, screen slides in different forms that have been mentioned here. So it depends on the message and your budget, that what type of media you are able, you want to choose. One of the things that is important, as you can see, about different type of media, as you mentioned here, for example, print, radio, TV, internet, and mobile advertising, these days has been one of the most effective ways for advertising. On the blue bars, blue columns, you can see there this is the ad spend in USA in the year 2014, and the yellow ones are the time spent on the media, percent of the time spent. You can see the advertisers are very careful about this percent of the time spent by users. So you can see that the print media only 4% of users are spending their time in this type of media, and you can see for the mobiles it's around 24%. Still, TV has the first rank, and for the time spent and the expenditure by advertisers. You can see there is an opportunity for mobile advertisement that, of course, in recent years the advertisers are using this opportunity to reach the highest number of readers and mobile users to convey the message, and for advertising for different reasons, and in commercial or not commercial. Yes. It's a trend of using a different major type of media. You can see mobile in 3 years, from 2012 to 2014, the percent of user or the time spent per day by user has been increased very sharply from around 13% to 23%, and we may see a decrease in other type of medias, but of course the TV has the highest share still. It's an important question here: is the most used cause the most effective or not? It's a very big question in the advertiser months. If I'm using the time spent, the share of time spent by users, does it mean that I should spend my money on the media they are spending the most share of their time, or there are some other type of surveys. You may see that, for example, on many people, how many several times a day people are using the social media. This, for example, Facebook is the first one, and followed by WhatsApp and YouTube. So you should be aware of that it's not only most used, the most effective. You should think about your audience, which audience you're targeting, and what type of media they're using. Then you use the right media and start advertising. In this second diagram, you can see for percent of US online adults who use social network by age group. Also another important factor. You can see the Facebook, for example, is mostly used for the age group 18 to 29 years old. Then other things, for example, for Instagram, the share is much higher than other age groups. So it depends on the age group, and also they are male or female. It may be they may use different media the most, and you should be aware of that before think about that. These are the main factors affecting media selection: nature of the target group, for example, age, education, and the number of people you want to reach. Objectives you have: nature of the message, and your budget and cost, media used by user, media availability, media reach and coverage, and frequency. There are two important items: advertising reach and frequency. Reach is the number of people that are exposed to your message, and frequency is the number of times you expose this person to your message. So of course, reach without frequency equals waste of money. You must reach a high number of people, and the frequency must be enough to you ensure that your message has been conveyed to your target group and target audience. There are different strategies for timing of advertisements. You may use continuous, steady, and regular pattern. You may use the flighting during certain period only, or you may use the pulsing strategy, burst of advertising. Also, you should be aware of what is called effective advertising. We are using media, we have defined our strategy, the execution is going well or not, and do we have creative idea to grab the audience attention or not. There is a wear out effect. So when you start advertising for the first 4 weeks, second 4 week, and you continuing your advertising, of course after a while you may find that your audience now don't pay attention after a while to the message, and you should start a new way of message, or with a new face, the same message with a different face to still have their attention. Also, we have a decay effect, and what happens when you start advertising. In this example, we are using the sales. What happens to sales, and what happened to, for example, the outcome of a firm when they started advertising campaigns, and when they stop their advertising. So the decay effect decreases the number of people are paying attention to the message that you are using in your advertisement. So it's very important to know about that and think about that. But there are different things when you thinking about road safety advertising, and when you are thinking about the general commercial advertising. I want to point out the main difference. With commercial advertising, people are interested and want to buy in the category, but in the road safety advertising, people like to avoid the subject and opt out. You are telling them do not speed, but they want to speed. They want to speed. They want to reach their destination sooner, but you are telling them that you should slow down. So it's somehow different to a commercial advertising. They want, for example, buy a chair, or any way they want to buy it. If don't buy it from you, they may buy it from other uh, available one in the market. So it's the thing that they want to do it. They want to buy in the category, but it's completely different to road safety advertising. Also, the aim at commercial advertising, the aim is to focus on the positives. Even you may see the exaggeration, but in the road safety advertising, you should focus on raising the risk and the consequences of a unsafe behavior. So it's completely different. The third item, you're usually selling a brand when you're doing commercial advertising, but in road safety, your message is your brand. For example, slow down, click it or ticket or something like this. Your brand is your message. It's somewhat different, and sometimes difficult to understand by users. And as I told before, exertion is used to entertain and motivate, but in road safety advertisement, it's important is reality to make people pay attention, and they have to see themselves in advertising message and mitigate their to update from it. So it's very important to show them the reality, what happens when you are not wearing your helmet when you are riding a motorcycle, what happens, and they clearly feel that yeah, it's me, it's what I'm doing every day, and I wasn't aware of the such consequences that is playing here, or in the printing media I'm reading it. So at the final, the goal in commercial advertising is to raise awareness and attract interests to buy the new product, or buy A instead of B, product A instead of B. But in the road safety advertising, awareness is not enough to have an effect on road safety. You need to work at the level that motivates behavior change. You want to change their behavior. You want to completely people completely act differently in a way that you expect. So it's not easy at all. To explain that, you may using this shape that you may see that the human nature lies at the deeper level. Human needs, we have culture, education, and beliefs, character, the competences, thoughts, habits, values, and emotions that they call human characteristics. That's the things that maybe we don't see, that it's not easy to define in short time. It takes time, many by psychologists, to assess the human behavior roots. And at the top of the eyes, we have the behavior results and ideas, the working hours, and they call it human behavior. So we may see their behavior, but not the reason why they are doing this, and why they are not wearing helmet, and why they are doing a speeding. It's a very complicated, but of course scientists are helping us to get closer to the roots and reason, and use methods and ways to step forward and work on changing the behavior of the producer. This cycle are mainly used that I know, I should, I want to, I can, it's force fine, it's easy, I'm joining in, and that was a success. So knowledge, desire, skill, optimism, facilitation, stimulation, and reinforcement are needed to changing behavior. There are different models in this area for advertising effect: think, feel, do model, IDEM model, key advertising effect model. The simple one that we call the do model. We should provide some information and knowledge and raise awareness to make them start thinking about the our goal and the objective we have. And after that, after giving the notion, raising the awareness about that, they start feeling that they like to do it, like to change the behavior, or they prefer to do it. And after that stage, they start doing action and change their belief and the way of thinking about that case. So it's a very simple three-stage model, but maybe it's very complicated when it comes action to. This is an integrative model of behavior prediction. At the left side you may see that there are these variables: demographics, culture, attitudes toward them, and different items that mainly their outcome is behavioral beliefs and outcome valuations, normative beliefs and efficacy beliefs. And they, in the next level, we can see they turn to attitude, perceived norms, and self-efficacy, that it comes to an intention to do something, that in this level skills and environmental constraints effect on the intention to see a behavior from a person. So it has different layers and levels to when we see a behavior or safe or unsafe behavior from a user. Of course, we know that now we know that the behavior is influenced by different items and factors like time and cost. I'm in hurry. Of course need to get to the office sooner, and I'm of course not thinking about the speaking, and sometimes not thinking about the ticket or fines if the chance of being caught is low. And the effort and convenience also is another factor, and social consequences. Am I getting fined or not? I'm going to jail. What's the consequences of committing, for example, speeding or other unsafe behaviors? And also, what's the competing behavior? If you asking me not doing speeding, that it has of course thrilling sense, and especially for the use, what you will give me instead. I can't understand the not being injured, because I have done it before again and again, and nothing has having happened. So if you're talking about the avoiding the risky consequences of such a behavior, maybe I can't accept it easily. So do, now, and values are uh, something different items that of course influence our behavior. In social marketing ecology, of course, we can see different things that may have impact on us. We can social marketing, the organization, the experts, we have university, we have investors, we have digital community, and different sub items like events, advocacy discussions, social capital or sense of communities. And of course there are different items that may end to the social impact on. It's a good example of the logic of social norms interventions. In the left side you may see the underlying problems, for example personal hazardous drinking pattern or misperception of normative behavior, and on the dash line, under the dash line you can see the evidence needed, for example the prevalence of hazardous drinking patterns or prevalence of misperceptions or association between the two. In the next stage, the blue one, you may see the intervention, the strategy, campus-wide social norms marketing campaign, that, and the evidence needed is the campaign conform to social norm principles and reached intended audience. The next stage would be the intervention goal, the correct misperception of descriptive and or injunctive norms, and the evidence is prevalence and the degree of misconception decreased. For the anticipated outcomes, of course, one of the items we are expecting to observe is increased use of protective behavior or decrease hazardous drinking patterns, and the desired impact would be harm reduction or decrease alcohol-related adverse consequences. Or for the evidence, we need to prevalence or number of adverse consequences decreased. It is the logic of social norm intervention. We saw that something, we think about something, we select a strategy, and we have a goal, we have some outcomes, and also we have a desired impact. If every campaign and advertising, we should think about that and what would be the desired impact at the end, and are we walking on the right path or not. For the campaigns, there are good examples. You will find it on the internet for free. This is one of them, is the CAST project campaigns and awareness raising strategy in traffic safety. Very useful source to read and get ideas. And also another one is road safety communication campaigns that you may find the different stage in designing road safety campaigns from start to finish, and evaluation and writing your final report. For example, we can see at the right side is getting started, analyzing the situation, designing the campaign and the evaluation, conducting the before pre-evaluation and implementing the campaign, completing an evaluation, and drawing the conclusion, and of course the final stage you write the final report. There are typical elements of a campaign. For example, campaign research, you need to know what you want to do. Production of material, organization of activities, monitoring and evaluation. There's a good toolkit published by the WHO on road safety mass media campaigns. You may use it, and there are different phases in this toolkit for example, for phase 1, project design and stage, phase 2 production, phase 3 dissemination, and phase 4 evaluation in 10 steps. Of course, we talked about that we want to see something as a final outcome, effect on road accidents. When we start a campaign or advertising, we are very eager to see that it has been effective and mainly translated to reduction of road crashes. There are different scientific meta-analysis mainly done by Norwegian scientists that from a meta-analysis of different campaigns that have been done around the world, they have found that on general fog the best estimate is 9% reduction. The mass media alone would be 1% increase. It's very interesting, but it would be very effective when we use mass media plus enforcement. That on general the best estimate is 13% reduction in number of accidents, and when you use it with education, we have 1% more reduction, and local individuals campaigns are more effective, have found to be more effective with around 40% reduction in number of accidents. So of course it's up to us that what are our aims and what how many people want to be reached, and we may use different E's in road safety, not only the 3 well-known E's: education, enforcement, and engineering, and also encouragement and empowerment and engagement. There are different E's, and we may use it to be more effective and have an effect on reducing the number of road crashes. Other scientists have studied around 182 studies evaluating the road safety campaign's effect, and they have found the 25% increase in seatbelt use, 16% reduction in speeding, and 70% reduction in drink driving. So if using the campaigns and advising in a right way, we may be able to expect a reduction in the final outcomes. Of course, with other ways like as a complement, as a complementary way. So there are some recommendation at the end with some examples. We must be very specific about what we want to people to do. So some messages like "oh, drive safely" or "be careful" are meaningless, and we need to be very specific and talk with details. And the problem is that many people think that they are driving very well and they are a safe driver. So even when they are exceeding the speed, they say that I'm a skillful driver, so the crash is not mine. It's for others. It's one of the things that we should fight with that. And also the message needs to be clear and unambiguous, such as slow down or always wear a helmet, as we talked about the first one. So it should be clear. You can see think and drive, or drive wise, nobody dies, or drive safe, stay alive. They're not very clear for the road users and drivers. They can't convey yeah. As a good example, we may see the think publicity summary for, of course it's not very new, but it's very good example. We can see the policy area, their aim, their target audience, and the key messages they're using for as instance for the fatigue. You may see the aim is raise awareness of the dangers of falling asleep at the wheel and promote safer behavior. The target audience is the motorists under 30s and leisure working drivers, and the key messages are tiredness kills and plan your journey, stop every 2 hours. So it's very clear message, and of course the driver and the target audience can understand it very. The next recommendation is the base campaigns around the core motivator of a behavior change. This could be a risk of death or serious injury to the driver or others or their family, not such children or something else. It could be amplify the perception of enforcement and consequences of getting caught, or garnering social pressure from others against the current road behavior. So it's very important to have a good motivator for your change. And avoiding opt-out also is a product that most people don't want to buy it, as we talked about that before. So should be very picky about what is the message and what we are asking from drivers. They think they are good drivers, so they will commonly look for opportunity to dismiss the safety message and reinforce the current behavior. Common issues with this are that they don't define with the driver in the advertisement, so they think that, oh, it's not me, I'm younger than the person in the advertisement, or I could have stopped at the same. So we should be very careful, and the media or the video we are creating should be as real as possible, to avoid feel that oh, maybe I could do that one in the video. And of course, and the downside of the slide, you may see the helmets are in. You know, it makes sense when people are doing something like those picture in the at the upper side of this slide. Of course, such message like the as you can see on the downside of the slide, is not very useful to convey the message. So it is completely different level of messaging and acting on the road. So the message that you are conveying, or the thing that you are telling the people, should be closer to what you see on the road. So you must be realistic. Statistics and on real situation seldom works, and the people need to see people like themselves, their own driving behavior, and the negative consequences it could have. I think it's some of the best ads ever seen on the internet. One of them in the France, I think, of what will happen to you if you ride a motorcycle unsafe. It's too close to you, what will happen to you. And one of on the right up is about the clothes you are wearing and what will happen if don't you use the suitable crossing for motorcycles. And one of the best one, the left side down, the save your head, wear a helmet. This is priceless. Your head is, your brain is priceless, but how much will cost the helmet? And the same at the right downside. It's very very tangible for the people. It's very close to what they are doing, and what's the consequences, and maybe just some minutes after. So focus on the risky behavior that's measurable and unforceable. Approach of targeting the biggest risk is critical. Sometimes what we are talking to people is not measurable and it's not enforceable, so start with the low-hanging fruits and then go to next level road safety issues, the regions of the country where you can make the biggest gains for your money. So it's very effective to start with fishing where the fish are available. Also, these are other good example for mainly motorcycles and wearing a helmet, and if don't fasten your helmet, what will happen, and things. And the coverage, frequency, and time sufficient media exposure is really important, as we talked about that before. Long-term campaigns are required to promote an audience to adopt the correct behavior every time they're on the road until it becomes habitual. So it's sometimes it doesn't happen overnight, the changes. We need to be very persistent, consistent for changing a bad behavior or unsafe behavior. And consumers recall one of weekly or monthly campaigns soon that disappears. That will really be very important. And the final one is we want to recommend the surprise and surround the audience with the road safety message. It's important to stand out from other advertising, be creative, and if you want the people remember what you are telling them, you should have some moments of truth, and or where they are drinking alcohol, or where they are driving or riding on the road. We need moments of truth and creativity to have effect on the people. Okay, that was thank you for being with me. I think the cooperation and commitment is the key to success in this road safety. I wish that it has been some helpful recommendation on road safety advertising. You can email me, and if you have any question. And thank you for watching, and thank you for being with me until that. Thank you very much. Bye.